If you were alarmed by Fast and Furious, brace yourself for Grenade Gate. Did the Justice Department and the ATF just do it again, and are they trying to hide it? There's just in photos of grenades and ammunition shedding light on the bungled case of an alleged cartel arms dealer. The ATF was apparently up to its eyeballs in this one. Plus, they were supposed to be tracking him, but instead they let him go twice. Sound familiar? Congressman Trey Gowdy joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Explain to me what is this Grenade Gate? What, you're also a former prosecutor, I should add parenthetically, but what is this Grenade Gate?
Well, Kingerly got grenade holes, which are not inherently...
He's a cartel. He's a dealer.
Mexican drug cartel, Mexican national. Mother lives in the United States. Getting grenade holes or shells is not inherently illegal, but nonetheless, ATF intercepted it, and they put a device in these holes that, as you and I were talking off air, even if there were an explosion, you could still track them back to him. I'm not sure what good that does, because a lot of people will be dead, but that's what they did when the holes first came in. Later on, other parts came together. ATF surveilled, unlike Fast and Furious from this standpoint, they surveilled Kingerly to the border and turned him over to Mexican authorities, who lost him. The really disappointing part about this case, and I have not been hesitant to be critical of ATF when warranted, but ATF repeatedly presented this case to the United States Attorney's Office in Arizona, who said that it lacked jury appeal. They didn't think a jury would like 200 and something grenades that are being used by Mexican drug cartels. So they would not authorize a prosecution. He was Mirandized and gave a confession. You don't even have to be a good prosecutor to win that case.
Well, what,
they let him go.
Okay, he had these grenade shells he was taking into Mexico and assembling them into real grenades.
With other parts.
And then, of course, there's one nightclub, I think, about a year ago that's blown up with 53 people killed. I mean, it's just horrible. The tragedy goes with it. The United States Attorney's Office, at least, they were only concerned with tracking it. In fact, they said even if it explodes, you can track it. So they didn't care if it exploded. I guess you could say they didn't have that much concern for human life. But what's the crime with having... Is there a crime having shells in the United States and driving them across the border into Mexico? Is that a crime?
No, ma'am.
So
not just the shells, but to be complete, once he had the shells, he also ordered the other parts that went with it. So he's in the process of building a grenade, and he needs gunpowder. And ATF's position was, well, if we ever catch him with gunpowder, we can arrest him right then. But you don't have to wait till then. We knew he was working with the Mexican drug cartels. You have a conspiracy case. You have a very good conspiracy case.
So you do have a crime. You have the crime of conspiracy.
Absolutely.
So even though shells aren't illegal, a conspiracy to commit the crime is a crime. And so he got away from the. I mean, he got stopped by the United States. U.S. Attorney's Office says they didn't have an appetite for it.
It lacked jury appeal. This is 200 grenades with someone who has confessed to being part of a Mexican drug cartel. And the United States Attorney's Office in Arizona said it lacked jury appeal. I go back a year. I asked ATF during Fast and Furious, because when I was a prosecutor, I never had a bad relationship with federal law enforcement. The relationship between federal law enforcement and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arizona was totally dysfunctional. The Department of Justice even agrees that U.S. Attorney's Office should have prosecuted this case. They don't have an explanation for why it wasn't done. So whereas I don't hesitate to criticize ATF when it's warranted, and oftentimes it is, in this instance, I think the United States Attorney's Office in Arizona dropped the ball.
I mean, it'd be terribly cold, but is there a number to put on how many people may have died from these grenades as the U.S. Attorney's Office looked the other way? No way to quantify that?
No, ma'am. Much like Fast and Furious, the body count may be, we may still be counting it in the future. These grenades and these guns are unaccounted for.
All right, let me switch to Fast and Furious. Since you brought up Fast and Furious, are you going to get some answers out of Attorney General Holder? Because you keep bringing him up and asking him questions. He keeps going back. I mean, this has been like, this is the endless investigation. Yes, ma'am, and I have you to thank, because when I knew I was coming on your show tonight, I went on the floor of the House and asked the Speaker's office and Darrell Issa, when are we going to hold Eric Holder to the same level of accountability that you or I would be held if we got a summons or a subpoena? It's not an option for us not to comply with it. And I talked to Chairman Issa, who, as you know, is a patient man, but even his patience has limits. Before Memorial Day, Eric Holder will either comply or he will suffer consequences. And when I say consequences, I mean contempt of Congress. Also want to add, his appropriations bill is on the floor of the House in 2 weeks. And unless they want to sell paper clips as scrap metal to raise money for the Department of Justice,
there will be many amendments gutting the appropriations for his department if he keeps playing this game.
So this is the shot across the bow, and he's got for the Attorney General, and he's got until Memorial Day.
It may be a little closer than across the bow. He's been warned. We've been patient. In my judgment, in some instances, we've been too patient. We've been more patient with him than police would be with you or me or any of your viewers. It's not a political exercise to me. It's a law enforcement exercise. He needs to comply, or he needs to tell us what legal privilege he is citing that keeps him from having to comply, and he hasn't done either one.
Congressman, thank you, sir. We'll be watching.
Ma'am.
Thank you, sir.